Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Om. May He protect us both. May He nourish us both. May we both work together with great energy. May our study be thorough and fruitful. May we never hate each other. Om. Peace, peace, peace be unto all.
Om Jananim Sharadam Devim Ramakrishnam Jagadgurum Pada Padme Tayo Sritva Pranamami Muhurmuhu. Om Sthapakaya Cha Dharmasya Sarvadharmasvarupine Avatara Varisthaya Ramakrishna Te Namaha. So in our last class, we left the class with 3 questions. What were they? Will the avatars have desires? And do they need to fight like us? And how strong would be their desires? The first point is, do they have desires? Yes, they will have desires. So second, do they have to fight like us? Because they have got dual nature. What is the dual nature? Human nature as well as divine nature. So they can dwell on whichever plane they want to dwell. But in which plane are they going to dwell? That is the question. If they are dwelling in the divine nature, will they have human desires? No. Why? When we know something is appearing but not real. For example, when you know a mirage, when you see a mirage, and when you know that there is a mirage, this is a mirage, you happen to see it, you don't deny its appearance, but you will not run towards it for water. Is that the case with the avatars? No. If that is the case, they need not have come down, because as God, whatever they want to accomplish, they could have easily accomplished from their own plane. This is one of the questions that trouble most people. Why God should incarnate, go through all this rigmarole like us, and then try to give by His will? Why can't He change things? This is one of the assumptions. The other assumption is, why create, why put us down, why incarnate and try to take us up? This is also a mysterious something. In Hindu philosophy, creation is eternal. Creation is eternal. It is beginningless. That means it will be also endless. But is there a creation? There is a school of philosophy which says there is no creation at all. Gaudapada belongs to that school. It is called the philosophy of non-birth, Ajatavada. There is no creation. Like, when you come back from dream, you experience something in the dream. So afterwards, if you ask, oh, was it nice? Yes. Would you like to go back? Would you like to go back to your dream to get something which you have seen in your dream? You would not like. Why? Because it is a dream. Dream means what? There is appearance, but there is appearance, but there is no reality to it. So this is one point of view. But we are not in that condition where we can say that there is no creation. For us, creation alone is real. Is God real for us? Not real. But we have faith. And if that faith is not strong enough to make us feel that He is really real. So what is spiritual progress? Slowly we will get to that state, even though we don't see God, but we feel He is there. His presence is there. That is called Shraddha. But Hinduism doesn't stop with Shraddha. Shraddha is good enough hypothesis for starting. The faith must be transformed into a fact. Coming back, incarnations always dwell upon these two planes, the divine and the human. So let me first read. Swami Sharadanandaji is writing here. Incarnation's compassion. They undertake sadhana for the welfare of others. In our last class we discussed, they are already liberated souls. The question of their trying to do sadhana for their own liberation doesn't arise at all. Sadhana is relevant for whom? For a person who feels, I don't have something, I need something, I want that thing, and how to get it. They come down from the realm of the liberated and voluntarily take up the appearance of bondage. But when we say appearance of bondage, that's not a pretense. Swami Sharadanandaji says, what is the difference between incarnation's birth and our birth? I have at the beginning discussed so many reasons. I think 8-9 reasons I have given. But for our present discussion, it is like two people are playing hide and seek or touch the granny. One person's eyes are tightly bound, but the other person, he puts it on voluntarily. Both cannot see. What is the difference? One, even if he wants to see, he cannot remove. The other one, anytime he can open and see. But will he see? He will not see. Why? Because that will not be relevant for us. Incarnation is for two purposes. One, to show us, first of all, to prove that the paths that had been shown in the past through the scriptures is absolutely valid. Second, to bestow their grace. They accumulate lot of power out of their compassion and they help us. One question here with regard to this. Is it possible for ordinary human being even to think about God, to have faith in God, if incarnations do not come? Do we know anything about God? Who shows us God? Only the incarnations, their experiences, their teachings, which are called scriptures. That is a relevant point.
How have the incarnations helped us thinking about non-dual? Because it's easier for him to develop faith in personal aspects, looking at incarnation.
No. An incarnation does not help us only in looking towards God in one aspect. Take these. What are Vedas? What are scriptures? They are the direct experiences of great souls. Now, in these scriptures, in the Vedas, in the Upanishads, are both the pathways are there?
Yes.
Now, who gave that both pathways? Because the creation is varied. That means each person's mentality is different. We discussed that point. So why 4 paths? Why not 3? Why not 5? What did we discuss? But even though every human being has got all the 4 faculties, every human being doesn't have exactly in the same proportion. Some are emotional, some are intellectual, some have got willpower, some have got the attitude of serving people. So 4 different paths. Very interesting. There are so many people who controvert that there are many paths. Their view is all the other 3 paths, Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga and Raja Yoga, are preparations ultimately leading to the only path which is called the path of knowledge. Now Ramana Maharshi is considered as the paragon of the Jnanis in India. Just recently I read, somebody asked me, can one realize who I am through the path of Karma, Bhakti and Raja? He said, yes, they are all different paths, leading all to the same goal. He says, these lower type of people who neither have reached God, nor even the intellect to think about, they become very fanatical. Like some religions, accepting through our religion, nobody can progress towards God. The answer to your question is, they provide all the means available to suit the different mentalities. Whereas some of the people who practiced sadhana and attained siddhi, they are likely to emphasize only their particular path in which they advanced. But in incarnation, never. He will not do it. Is the answer correct? Because incarnations see the world in two different forms from the two planes of consciousness, the ideal and the real. Objects of senses like sight, taste, which are pleasant for the time being, cannot allure them as they do human beings in general. And the dense shadows of despondency and peacelessness that arise from the reverses of fortune cannot cloud their intellect. Two mighty streams of sadhana and compassion are always seen to flow side by side in their lives. Sadhana helps us to direct in our particular path. Compassion brings their power. Through the channel of compassion, the power comes to us and it helps us to lift us from our ordinary state. One question. Without incarnation's compassion, is it ever possible to progress in spiritual life? It is not possible. Even this Shankaracharya, he also tells something very important. I quoted many times in his Vivek Chudamani, Durlabham trayame vaitat daivanugraha hetukam manushyatvam mumukshutvam mahapurusha samshaya. Rare indeed are three things in this world: birth as a human being, desire for spiritual illumination, and the opportunity to associate with holy people. These three are available only by the grace of Ishvara. So compassion is always there. In any religion, it doesn't matter whichever religion. Now I can also put a question to you. Is there any religion which totally evolved without the compassion of a incarnation of God? Take for example Buddhism. Who was Buddha? Incarnation of God. Okay, who was Jesus Christ? Incarnation of God. Before Jesus Christ, was there an incarnation of God or not? If you have to believe Hindu theory, this Hindu theory that God incarnates whenever it is necessary is applicable only to Hinduism or to all religions. The only difference is, in many religions, they may not use the word incarnation. They may use the word prophet. Great prophets are there. What we call earlier times rishis. That's why in our first few classes we discussed very nicely how did this concept of incarnation arise. If you remember, Hindus, they found out that there were great rishis and they were living a life full of joy, peace, creativeness, etc. And then they found, the ordinary people found out there is a vast difference between ordinary people and these rishis. At first, they made this division. These are ordinary people and these are special people called rishis. In fact, the very word rishi means a discoverer of truth, spiritual truth. The second thing that they did, when they looked at the different rishis, they found out every rishi is not equal with everybody else. There is a lot of difference between one rishi and the other rishi. And that rishi in which the greatest amount of power is manifesting, they started calling a special name, Maharshi, etc. In course of time, in Puranas, it became an avatar. Now, slowly this concept developed. Here is a person who was like us and then who practiced certain special disciplines and got something and then he advanced in spiritual life. What is that? What is it that the rishi has got? There is something very high, and through this practice he became a channel, and that something which is at a higher level, it descended. At first it was an abstract concept, but in course of time, what is that thing? We call it God. God incarnates. How does God incarnate? In the form of knowledge for anything. A scientist in the form of scientific knowledge. A musician in the form of music. A great politician or statesman in the form of the ability to rule. A great king. So they found out all men are not equal. But in some, this power is more manifest. They started calling it greater power. But later on, they concretized it. Abstract concept became concretized and they gave God himself incarnates. That is why avatarana, descending from God. So later on that concept became, wherever there is some excellence, it is an avatarana. That is how the Bhagavata Purana mentions 24 avatars. Then they said any number of avatars can be there. In every religion, there were great people. They might not be labeled as avatars. For example, Muhammad. Do Muslims consider Muhammad as an avatara? Do they call him as an avatara? What do we call him? No. Hindus. We call him an avatara. Yes. Jesus Christ, for example, we worship him like any avatara, like Ramakrishna, etc. So is Rama and Krishna only avatars? Long before in history, there have been any number of avatars of which we don't know anything. This is the idea. All avatars, when they come down, they come with two streams, sadhana and compassion. Sadhana either to validify the old paths or to discover new paths, and compassion just to uplift us. Finally, in the Puranas, it is the compassion which becomes specialized. Whereas in the Jnana Marga, what became specialized? Sadhana. What is the difference between Jnana Marga and Puranas? Bhakti Marga. Jnana Marga, Bhakti Marga. What is the difference? Purana means Bhakti Marga. Upanishads means what? Mostly Jnana Marga. Where what is the emphasis in Jnana Marga? Sadhana, self-effort. Whereas in Bhakti Marga, what is the effort? Grace of God. Grace of self-surrender means I am going to receive and you are going to give it to me. Every avatara lives on two planes. This is what Swami Sharadananda calls Bhava Mukha. They are able to see the reality. They are also able to see the appearance. Whereas we are able to see only the appearance. Therefore, there are two streams. From one point of view, whatever is reality is the only reality. Whatever is appearance has no value. Since they see the whole world in the form of appearance, nothing can attract them. That is why they are endowed with. But if they are not attracted, who is going to do sadhana? They have this. Sometimes they voluntarily assume human nature, and then a table is a table, a man is a man, a woman is a woman, everything as we see. What is the point we are discussing here? Incarnations do have desires. Incarnations do have to fight like any of us. Incarnations do have to very strong desires. That is a point to be clarified. Why do they have same strength desires within us, within them, or as like ourselves, or are their desires stronger? Why? Strength of a desire depends upon how much willpower a person has got. Have you noticed this? The more hunger you have, your desire will be stronger. Have you noticed that? Who has got more capacity? Incarnations have tremendous capacity. Therefore, when their mind turns towards good things, it will be very strong. But when they turn to what we call negative way, that will be also very strong. That is what we are doing. So they will be endowed with tremendous amount of compassion. And to illustrate this, Swami Sharadananda gives the parable of three friends having the vision of the grove of bliss. Three people, friends, were walking, and suddenly they came an enclosure. And from within the enclosure, wonderful sounds of joy, bliss were coming. They did not know, they could only hear the sounds. So they decided to find out. What was the story? Everybody promised, the moment I see what it is, I will let you know what it is, and then we can all enjoy it. So the first fellow went, climbed up, looked at it, he totally forgot about this, like that he jumped. Second fellow went up, promising second time. That fellow, he betrayed us. He forgot us. But no, I am a good person. I am going to tell you. So he also climbed up. Then the third fellow, he went up. And he also, like that he jumped. The fourth fellow, he went up. He also felt like jumping down. But then he thought, no, others do not know. such a place of bliss exists. Let me come back and take them along with me. Who is this fourth person? Avatara. Now, it has got a beautiful connection also. Sri Ramakrishna used to tell something very important. Most people, when they attain samadhi, their bodies would drop off in 21 days. Why? This is what he is talking about.
Could you repeat this one?
Sri Ramakrishna used to say that if an ordinary person like us attains a state of samadhi, his body would not last more than 21 days. What is the reason for that? Apply this story. 2 points. First of all, what is entering into samadhi? It is like seeing what is within the enclosure, entering into samadhi. The moment he entered into samadhi, does he feel like coming back? His body, biological fact, without food, without water, the body can last more or less 21 days. And he doesn't feel like coming back. So the body will just drop off. But out of compassion, the Divine Lord keeps a few people. Otherwise, who will tell us what is there? How did these scriptures come into being? Very interesting fact. The fact is, there are so many rishis who attained samadhi. Did they all come back and write the scriptures? They just plunged, and that is far the story is finished. Most of the rishis, they have plunged into samadhi and they never came back. But there must have been some rishis who came back and then they taught. And what they taught is called in Hinduism Shruti. Shruti means that which is heard. That is what we call Vedas. So this is the story. Then incarnations of God have to practice self-control like ordinary men. From what has been said, some perhaps may come to the conclusion that the incarnations of God have never to fight like ourselves with the unruly senses. They will also, in every incarnation's life, you will see the temptations. And just now we discussed, are these temptations weaker or like ours or stronger? They will be stronger. But their mind also will be stronger. So therefore, they are like our desires only, comparable to our minds. Just as we cannot control our mind, they also have to fight to control their minds. But they come with the purity of mind. 2 factors are there. First of all, they have such intensity. Therefore, they reach the goal very soon. And the second factor is, they will have to come back and tell us, there is this danger, so you be careful about it. After going somewhere, it will be coming like that. I will give you an instance. Swami Yatishwaranandaji, he went and complained to Swami Brahmanandaji. He said, I could lift my mind to some extent, and after that, big blank wall I am facing, and I don't know how to progress further. Then Maharaj, Swami Brahmanandaji, gave him some instructions. We don't know what instructions he gave, but one thing we surely know, he instructed him, get up at midnight and practice meditation. Since that time, Maharaj used to get up at midnight and practice meditation till morning, and then sleep for an hour or 1.5 hours, and then do the normal duties. How do we know? This is recorded in the Eternal Companion. The second thing Maharaj told him, specially, to read Chandi at night. Chandi is not advised to be read at night, because mostly it is battle, fight. That's why people can have nightmares. Anyway, these 2 very helpful hints. But actually how he instructed them to move forward, we don't know. Maharaj gave a beautiful illustration. He said a man entered into a lift, and the lift started going up. But before it reached the destination, it got stuck. Now the man is neither below nor above. So he described his condition. This also we get in the Eternal Companion. So incarnations of God have to practice self-control like ordinary men. How do we know? Several instances we know. Sri Ramakrishna specifically practiced a very weird type of practice. What is that? Taka mati, mati taka. He used to take a rupee coin and a small lump of clay, and then say this rupee and clay, there is no difference in their value, and then throw both of them into the Ganges. Now what did he want to overcome? In our mind, you know what is the greatest temptation? Money. Of all the temptations in the world, the temptation of money is the greatest. Why? You know, Sri Ramakrishna used to say Kama and Kanchana. Now, Kama, of course, we all know, lust. What about Kanchana? Kanchana means gold, is translated woman and gold. Woman means sex and gold means what? Money. So which is stronger? Why?
Power.
Correct. Not only power. Money means three things. In our Jnana Yoga talk, I have specified these things. Money means, first of all, the ability to buy anything, including woman. But if you have money, you can buy a woman, you can buy a house, you can buy a car, you can buy anything you want. That is power. Money means security. Why women prefer rich people? One of the reasons. In the past, it is very wonderful analysis. In the past, all females, whether it is women or animals, females, they used to prefer a stronger person. Why? Security. First, security. Second, the offspring of a strong man offspring also will become stronger. There is likelihood. But nowadays, this ratio had totally changed. If anybody has got money, a female would likely to prefer a moneyed person. Why? Because it means security. It means all her desires can be fulfilled. It means if there are offspring, then she can protect the offspring also much better. What can a strong man do? Why, a gun can do a lot of damage. A small gun. Even a child can kill a strong person nowadays. So, money means power, money means position, money means security, money means the honor. Nowadays, who is honored more? It is the rich people who are honored more. So many, the proportion has changed now. Before money came, before money had no value actually. Do you know why? Gold had no value. Do you know why? What are you going to do? Suppose, South Africa, so much of gold was lying. And people used to, like in our villages, you know what they do? This cow dung, they put all over. These South African people, they used to, because gold can be melted very quickly. And they were decorating their homes. These British people went and their eyes popped out. What is this gold? Now you can ask, are they such foolish fellows? Why they are exhibiting these things, such invaluable treasure? No, they are not foolish people. What are they going to do? You see, there must be some objects for them to buy. Even to enjoy, there must be objects. There are no objects. They had to hunt, they had to eat whatever they got it, and nobody is willing to share anything. You have to fend for yourself. Now, the ratio has totally changed. That's very important thing. So, incarnations of God also have to practice self-control like ourselves. And then they have to adopt several means to do that. Interesting thing was, Sri Ramakrishna tested himself. When Totapuri came and he wanted to give sannyasa to Sri Ramakrishna, Sri Ramakrishna said, I am married. Then Totapuri said, what does it matter? Then Totapuri said something. For a man of knowledge, everything appears as Brahman. This is my wife, this is a woman. Such things, such thoughts do not appear at all. And Totapuri went away. Several years later, Holy Mother came to Dakshineshwar. Now, the words of Totapuri came into the mind of Sri Ramakrishna and said, have I really attained Brahmagnana? Who is there to certify that you attained Brahmagnana? Somebody has to certify. Do you remember the story of Shuka? Shuka was his father gave him instructions and he attained Brahmagnana. And his father told him, you attained Brahmagnana. But he did not believe. My father, out of affection for me, fatherly affection, he is certifying simply, I attained Brahmagnana. So the father understood. And then what did he do? Sent him to Janaka Maharaja. And then you know what happened? If I tell you, you will remember. Shuka approached Janaka Maharaja's town, and Janaka knew that Shukadeva was coming. You know what? He deliberately left instructions. Nobody should even look at Shukadeva. He was lying there for 7 days. Nobody asked him, "Sir, who are you?" Otherwise, the tradition of that city was, any newcomer coming, "Sir, where from are you coming? Do you have a place to stay? Have you eaten food? Please come with me." Anybody would have taken him inside. But nobody looked at him. Everybody passed as though he did not exist. 7 days, 7 nights, nobody cared. And then, after this 7th day, suddenly, Janaka, ministers, everybody with a huge procession, "Oh, sir, we did not know that you had arrived, such a great soul." Took him in a palanquin, put him in a palace, and beautiful young women were fanning. 7 days and nights he was being fitted. And Janaka was observing. Not this bit of change in his face cut. Oh, that time, 7 days, nobody cared for me. And now, everybody is saying, I am so happy. Prasannatam ya na tata abhishekataha tathana mamle vanavasa dukkhataha mukhambuja shri raghunandanasyame sadastu sa mangala manjula prada. Rama's face did not bloom because he got the news he was going to be coronated. Rama's face did not become depressed, sad, because he was being sent to the forest for 14 years. Let that beautiful, soothing, joyful face of Rama, let it shine in the lotus of my heart all the time. Mangala Manjula. That's what happened to Shukadeva. And after that, Janaka came and said, "You don't need any instruction. You are perfect Brahmagnani." So how does anyone know that he is a Brahmagnani? Now Sri Ramakrishna said, "Do I regard my wife as my wife? A beautiful female that I can enjoy? Okay, I may not enjoy, but is my mind attracted towards her?" You know that what happened? For several months, he allowed her to sleep in his own bed, and when the poor lady was sleeping, he started, "Oh mind, do you want to enjoy this?" And then he wanted even to touch. He could not touch. He went into samadhi. What was he doing? He was testing himself. But when was he testing? Only after attaining Nirvikalpa Samadhi and all that. Sadhan is going, what is our problem? Innumerable desires of the mind. Anyone who has tried to know even a little of the nature of the human mind has seen that beginning from the gross, there exists in it infinite strata of desires, subtle, subtler, and still subtler. We have not even grasped the extent, the power of the gross objects, let alone subtle objects. What does subtle objects mean? Very interesting incident happened. Once Swami Turiyanandaji, he was holding a class. Class means somebody would read a scripture and then somebody would explain it and he would just listen. Sometimes the audience, monks, brahmacharis, they would put a question and he would explain. Or sometimes he himself would bring out a point and then he would elucidate it. One day, the topic was Brahmaloka. What is dispassion? What is the definition? When God offers to a spiritual aspirant Brahmaloka and the sadhaka, without even thinking, says, "I look upon it as the filth of a crow," then that person has got dispassion. That was what was being read from the book called Yoga Vasishta. You can just imagine. Then Turiyanji stopped the reader and looked at one brahmachari and asked, "Kire, suppose Thakur comes and then offers you Brahmaloka, what will you do?" Brahmachari, just now read, he said, "Oh, I will spit," like that. Turiyanji laughed and said, "You foolish boy, Even if you glimpse Brahmaloka from a long distance, and at that time if Sri Ramakrishna comes to you, you will simply, I don't use harsh words, push him aside and run towards Brahmaloka. What is that we are tempted at? Gross bodies is nothing. There are higher lokas. There are infinitely, not infinitely really, I am exaggerating, very, very incomparably greater objects of happiness, where it is said, Svargaloka you heard? Heaven, not Christian heaven, Indian heaven. Because according to Christian heaven, they don't talk of Indian heaven, they talk of only paradise. Angels are there, etc. They are all representations of God. But in Hindu philosophy, there are several worlds are there. In fact, we divide the entire creation into 14 lokas. Chaturdasha Bhuvanani. But we also say 3. Bhuloka, Bhuvarloka and Suvarloka. When Sri Ramakrishna's mind was going in the path of Samadhi, when he had the vision of Swamiji, layer after layer of higher and still higher world, where the denizens, they were dazzlingly great, each higher than the lower one. And even each lower one could not see, even look at the higher one. There are higher worlds are there. And when a person, by accumulating lot of merit, goes into that kind of heaven, what kind of enjoyment? So Svargaloka, you know what is the description? There no baby is born. What a wonderful thing, because if the baby is born, teething problems will be there, teething problems. Then slowly he grows up. Then the parents will have infinite trouble. There everybody is absolutely youth, all beautiful, no diseases, no old age, and they don't enjoy like us. Sense organs meet the sense objects and consume. Drishti bhoga. They are called Drishti bhoga. Drishti bhoga means what? By look, they get that happiness. Anything. Food, they look at. A beautiful sound, anything, it is by thought, by mind. Now tell me, which happiness is greater? Physical happiness or intellectual happiness? And we have not understood that. You only read about it. You know that story of Eureka? Archimedes. The moment he found out what the king wanted to do, you know the story of Archimedes. He was taking bath, it is said, and then he forgot his body, and then he started running naked, Eureka, like that, euphoria. What is the point? Point is that it's all intellectual happiness. That happiness derived from a great understanding, idea. Ideas have tremendous power, but we never experienced it. We do sometimes experience it, you know. Suppose you come to know that somebody is coming to visit you, and always that person brings you very nice gifts. You don't know what he is bringing. But the moment a child hears my uncle or grandpa, somebody is coming, will that idea gives happiness or not? Sometimes even greater happiness than when the object comes. Tremendous power of the mind is there. That's why sometimes dreams are more beautiful than concrete reality. There are happiness, enjoyments, objects, so beautiful, uncorrupt, no comparison with the earthly objects. Supposing a person comes to know such an object exists, what do you think his mind will be? Subtle desire. Even here, subtle desires are there. In old age, what do people have? Subtle desires. Because physical body is incapable of satisfying. They can't eat, they can't see, they can't hear, they can't even sleep. This is the condition. If somebody overcame money problem, then the internal enjoyment. If they overcame that one, name and fame. If they overcame that one, then I want everybody to inquire after me. Something like that will come. Incarnations of God have to fight like anyone else, because their imaginations could conceive much deeper things than we could conceive. The Master urged us to give up desires. Sri Ramakrishna spoke of this dangerous nature of the mind and always warned us to shun the net of desires. In order to carry conviction to us, he would sometimes cite examples from his own life of how he thought and acted under similar circumstances. One example you still remember, one day he felt a stir of lust. You remember that? And in Panchavati, what did he do? What did he do? He started rubbing his face and said, Mother, if this desire continues, I will commit suicide. And he used to say, by Mother's grace, that disappeared forever. Swami Vivekananda, it is said, once felt the idea before going to America, lust. What did he do? There was a burning pan. He went and sat on it. And he said, for several days, I could not even walk properly. You know, such great souls, why do they feel these things? Because they are incarnations of God. Swamiji was Nitya Siddha. Why did they feel? Otherwise, will they have sympathy for us? And then when Swami Yogananda came, put this question, how can I conquer lust? You know what he said? Swami Yogananda was expecting Sri Ramakrishna would tell him some yoga technique, and you do this asana and you will be a great yogi. He did not say. What was his advice? Repeat Hari's name. You take Hari's name sincerely. And he did not believe it at the beginning. One day Sri Ramakrishna was going to the Panchavati. He found this, just at that time, one Hatha Yogi was living at Panchavati. Swami Yogananda, at that time not Swami, Yogin. So he was listening to the yogi. He thought, perhaps this yogi knows how he can help me. These are all, we want to get rid of these things by easy means, you know. Just you heat some water, put Horlicks in it, and repeat 3 times Ramakrishna's name, and drink it, sit for meditation, you will have first class samadhi. This is what we expect. It's not going to happen. Anyway, you drink Horlicks. That is a different issue. But meditation is not going to come. What did Sri Ramakrishna do? He saw Yogin Maharaj, and he caught hold of Yogin Maharaj, pulled him and said, Yogin, don't go to that yogi. This will only increase your problem. Later on he said, what does Hatha Yoga do? It will increase our body consciousness. Hatha Yoga means the person wants to make his body healthier, stronger. That is the real purpose, is to use it for yoga. Yoga is very popular in the West. Why? Because it will make them healthier, stronger, and for what purpose? So they can enjoy worldly life even better than before. This is how they started. Then Yogi Maharaj thought, why don't I try what he advised me? And after a few days he tried, and then he realized, yes, this is the only way. Not by hook or crook, but by making asanas or pranayama. Shankara decried pranayama. You know, he compared these pranayamas in this, the blacksmiths, what they do, that bellows. This is what Hatha Yogis, pranayama means like bellows. You know, bellows go on doing it. It is a little bit helpful, no doubt, but we should not exaggerate. Because in the books it is written, if anybody is expert in pranayama, he can command the sun, you stay, and it will stay there without moving. You know how it happens? If a person is expert, he looks at the sun and says, you stay there, and this fellow faints. Mm-hmm. After 24 hours, he comes back and he still sees the sun. One has to practice self-control like anybody else, so give up the desires. The instruction to women devotees about it. Very interesting. Perhaps one comes of a rich and noble family. The husband and children have all died. Those who are left behind are so many widows, lingering as if there is to be no death for them. Beautiful description comes. In those days, there are many, many such widows. You know why? In that generation, many young women used to be married to very old people. Naturally, the old fellows will croak. And after that, sometimes these people, marriage is not consummated, and they may be sick. Holy Mother herself is an example. What was her age when she got married to Sri Ramakrishna? And 5 years old, isn't it? What was his age? 20? 23. Now, when did he pass it? 50. So how many years he lived? 27 years. What would be Holy Mother's age at that time? Just imagine, in the bloom of youth, and she became already widow. Thousands of Bengali women used to be widowed at that time. Now what are the society is such, they cannot remarry until Raja Ram Mohan Rai introduced widow remarriage, and Vidyasagar also suffered for it, and they are considered to be the most inauspicious things in the world, worse than dogs. They cannot attend any auspicious thing, and they are like anybody else. What are they going? Their whole life is a blank misery, which Sharath Babu described in his novels. So realistically he had done it. What torture Hinduism has given to these fellows. Now what is the point? That was the condition. Could Sri Ramakrishna help? He said. He was telling, such a widow, no hope, then what type of life she could lead? She could take God's name, she could meditate more, and she could silently pass. A few of them, they transformed their lives. One of them is the greatest, Gopal Erma. Then you see, once about these widows, Sri Ramakrishna is meant, perhaps they are rich, perhaps they have no children, no husbands, they have nothing to do. How do they spend their time? They bring up a cat, bring up a dog, usually cats, and then they say, oh, my cat eats only, what is that fish? Ilsa fish. Excepting that it doesn't touch any fish, where am I going to get? Or bringing up the children of her brother or something. Whole day, without me, this world will not move. My brother is a stupid fellow. He doesn't know how to look after. Everything I have to do. Go on saying, oh, I cannot do any more. Let them stop for 5 minutes, anybody, they will kill the other fellow. Because they cannot live without this, what is called self-compensation. This is a type of compensation. Nobody wants them. But they themselves will go on bloating themselves up. Such people, Sri Ramakrishna is referring about it, they are going on lingering, as though there is no death, there is no end to suffering, as though they are not suffering. They have invaluable opportunity to think about God, but they do not think about God. Has situation changed now? So many people, well-to-do, they go on working. Until what age? 14 hours, 15 hours, 60, 65, 70, 75. Ask them, why do you want to work? You don't need money. Oh, what shall we do? Now work has become what? Alcohol. What are they called? Alcoholics. Work has become a venue for escape. If they are devotees, how are they going to progress in life? They are not going to progress in life. Now, this is a parallel in the great master, this particular instruction. One day, a devotee brought such a lady, and that lady did not introduce her friend, who was a widow, to Sri Ramakrishna. Sri Ramakrishna, usually he goes on teaching the spiritual instructions he will give. See the wretched condition, nobody, and this lady, big mouth, and she goes bossing over, and then she says, my cat, it wants only purest milk, etc., collecting. And then what do? They collect some seeds, and on the roof, they try to grow some greens. Wretched people, and they have a big bunch of keys around tied to their end of the sari. Like that went on graphically describing. Sri Ramakrishna was an actor, not only a teacher, but a great actor. Went on telling. And the devotee was feeling bad because the lady she brought was exactly fits like that. It went on and on, but then she was narrating, Oma, who told, we have never tutored him that I am going to bring, you tell her like that. Spontaneously, automatically these things came. What does Sri Ramakrishna want to say? Say, if you have to work, you have no other choice, there is no way, convert into associate with God, Karma Yoga. If you have an opportunity, then slowly train your mind to think about better things. The struggle of incarnations with their subtle desires. It becomes very clear from a study of human nature that the higher a man's mind ascends, the more intensely do these subtle desires pain him. Very important point. At this level of our mind, we are tempted by certain desires. But the more our mind becomes subtle, the nature of the desires also become subtler. So we have to be extremely careful. We have a misunderstanding that the more we progress in spiritual life, the desires become less powerful and we can easily conquer them. That's not going to happen at any time. There is, of course, a maximum point. After that, no desire can really tempt us. But until that time, we have to be extremely careful. 11. An objection regarding human feelings in incarnations and its repetition. But how can I accept what you say? Don't you see what Shankara says? They are born as it were. They are possessed of a body as it were. Without contradicting Shankara, we say even an incarnation regards the whole he regards the whole universe as a false superimposition. Let me tell you the gist of what this discussion is. Shankaracharya, he follows the path of knowledge, and he had written wonderful commentary on the Bhagavad Gita in the what is called Sambandha Bhashya, introduction to the Bhagavad Gita. Every Upanishad he gave an introduction. Bhagavad Gita he gave an introduction. Brahma Sutras he gave an introduction. Very interesting introduction. This is called the explanation of superimposition, Adhyasa Bhashya. In the Bhagavad Gita, he says God really doesn't incarnate really, as if he was born, as if he had given teaching, as if he died, etc. As if means what? His appearance. So, some devotees who read Shankaracharya, they bring this objection. You are talking like this, but Shankaracharya says every incarnation as if he is born, as if he is practicing sadhana, as if he attains siddhi, as if he is giving teaching. What is the comparison between them? And for me it is not as if. For me it is not as if, real. For him as if, as though he is pretending, he is acting. It's a great misunderstanding because Swami Sharadanandji explained a beautiful point. First of all, how many people have read Shankaracharya? Very few people. How many of you have raised this objection? None. It's only I brought it. I need not have brought it. It is a very beautiful business. According to Shankara, not only an incarnation is as if born, you are also as if born. The whole universe is mithya. In that sense, for mithya, it is a delusion as for you as well as for the incarnations. Correct. This objection doesn't act because if you know that the world is unreal, you are an enlightened soul. You don't need any sadhana. And if you know something is mithya, then you will not run after it. Even we don't run after something which is mithya. Mithya means total appearance, not real. I always give an example. Suppose a young man says to a young woman, I am very much in love with you. I cannot live without you. Please marry me. And the young woman asks, so how much time do you love me? How much do you love me? He says, this much. And how much time do you love me? I think maximum 5 minutes. Will she return his love? You see, that is, if you will not fall into love the moment you find out that something doesn't really give you happiness and something on the other hand gives you tremendous trouble. I will give another example. Supposing you are very fond of sweets. Imagine there are 2 sweets. One sweet is excellent quality and you can buy. You have the capacity to buy and you buy it. And through experience you come to know for 5 minutes it will give you great pleasure. But for 5 days it will wreck your stomach. First time you did not know, you go after it. Second time will you go after it? If you had that kind of experience, will you go after it? So you see, the same person, he knows about a second sweet. It's not excellent. Just a little bit ordinary sweet. But it doesn't create any trouble for you. Which one this person will go after? Naturally, automatically, he will not think 100 times. Though he is tempted, but he will not go for it. Now you can understand, if any man can understand this world is mithya, mithya means what? You have to understand a deeper point here. We are using the word delusion, illusion, etc. No. Mithya, that is the proper meaning. Mithya means what? Appearance but no reality. But the second meaning if you take, that's what we are all under. This is, we also know intellectually. But we also know there is some real pleasure to be got from it. Now what is our problem? If we know that it gives 1% pleasure and 99% pain, would you go after it? You will not go after it. But what is your hope? This particular thing has given me 1% pleasure, 99% pain now. But the next time I eat that one, it will give me 99% pleasure and 1% pain. This is called delusion. This is called delusion. What is the delusion? This object may not give me happiness, but the next object, next marriage, next life. This life not happy, next life. This is called Maya. This is called Maya. This is an important point. Shankaracharya's works is not studied by everybody. Even if you have studied Shankaracharya, does the world appear to be mirage for you? It appears, who appears mirage to you? God appears mirage, spiritual life appears mirage, scripture appears to be meaningless, and the other way around. Is it not? This argument doesn't work at all. This is discussed from another standpoint. This will be clearly understood if we discuss it from another standpoint. The scriptures say that two distinct conceptions of the world arise in us when we look at it from the two planes of consciousness, the non-dual and the dual. In other words, you know what is non-dual? Nitya and Leela. Although possessed of bodies, the incarnations and the persons liberated in life, devoid of body consciousness, dwell very often in the non-dual plane of consciousness. Therefore, they have the conviction, even when they live in the plane of duality, that the world is unreal, like a dream. What is the point here? The point is, they struggle. When do they attain this non-dual state? Right from the beginning or after going through the sadhanas? When did Sri Ramakrishna attain samadhi, nirvikalpa samadhi? When did he attain? Twice. He attained twice. For the devotees of Sri Ramakrishna, it's very important. I mentioned it earlier. Sri Ramakrishna practiced sadhana twice. First without the Guru and second time with the Guru. First time when he practiced sadhana without the Guru, did he attain nirvikalpa samadhi or not? How do you know? By reading. Did you read that in the Great Master? No, many times. That was the beginning experience. Later on, he did so many things on his own. He attained to the same state. How do we know? From Sri Ramakrishna's own words. You know what he issued later on? Long before these gurus like Totapuri came, Mother had shown me all these experiences. Then the question naturally comes, why did you practice a second time? And he said, that is to confirm that the scriptures are also correct, true, because so many of us, we may not believe him, but we have faith in the scriptures. And for most of us, Guru is necessary. Scripture means what? Scripture, Guru, sadhana. All these things go together. So he said, Divine Mother has made me go through all these experiences long before these gurus had come. And second time again, he had gone through, but this time in a systematic way, following the scriptures. Now what is the point? Sharadamji wants to tell that after attaining Nirvikalpa Samadhi, they have the real understanding of what is Brahman, what is reality. But their mind also dwells where? On the plane of Leela. From the plane of Leela, they are on par with our mind. They know that for us the world is absolutely real. That's why I always give the example of a psychiatrist. How does a psychiatrist or psychologist view a mental patient. He has two views. Suppose a mental patient says, I am President Trump. And he thinks he is President Trump. There is no doubt in his mind. But the psychiatrist now has two views. From his point of view, he is not Trump, he is a normal person like anybody. But from the patient's point of view, he thinks he is a Trump only. Otherwise, compassion will not come, treatment will not be there. If there is no disease, where is the treatment? He assumes there is a disease. Even though there is no disease, assumed disease will have what? Assumed treatment. And then when he is cured, then the patient himself will say that what I was saying is not real, so now I am normal. An incarnation's mind works from both planes. Sometimes Nirvikalpa Samadhi, sometimes from our point. That's why Ramakrishna says, always there are two personalities in this body. One is that of the child. He says, I eat, I drink, I am happy. The other one is the Divine Mother who gives instructions, who by touching or blessing or wishing uplifts the minds of the other people. If they don't have that second view, they are as good as any Jivan Muktas, not looking at us at all. So this is the most wonderful point we have to remember. We'll discuss it in our next class. Om Jananim Sharadam Devim Ramakrishnam Jagadgurum Pada Padme Tayo Shritva Pranamami Muhur Muhu.